All right, welcome to this explainer, which we've designed specifically for you, the coaches and technical managers here at North Toronto Soccer. Today, we're going to dig into something absolutely fundamental. How do we create the absolute best environment for our players to thrive? Not just in soccer, but, in life. And I think this idea from the legendary coach John Wooden, it just gets right to the heart of it all. A good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life. It's such a great reminder that what we do goes way beyond just tactics and techniques. We're actually shaping young people's lives. So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about our lasting impact. Then we'll get into defining your own coaching compass. After that, we'll look at how to architect a powerful learning environment. And finally, we'll cover building high-trust relationships. We're really going to go from the why to the practical how of creating this environment right here at NTS. Okay, so let's start with something huge. We need to acknowledge the incredible, and let's be honest, sometimes scary, influence we have as coaches. Every single word we say echoes long after the game is over. It's a profound responsibility. There's this powerful story about a coach who gets a call years later from a former player named Pat. Pat's in med school, and he tells his old coach that whenever he faces a huge challenge, whenever he wants to quit, he still hears that coach's voice in his head pushing him on. I mean, think about that for a second. Our voice can literally become our players' inner monologue for the rest of their lives. And that's the bottom line, isn't it? Our interactions, our feedback, our tone, especially in those heated moments, they either build a resilience that lasts a lifetime or they plant these little seeds of self-doubt. We are, in a way, programming that inner voice. So the real question is, what message are we programming it with? So, if our words have that much power, where should they come from? Well, that brings us to our coaching compass. See, before we can shape others, we've got to really understand ourselves. What's your authentic coaching philosophy? What's your true north? There's this fantastic exercise that Seahawks coach Pete Carroll gave to a then-new coach, Steve Kerr. He didn't tell him what to value. He gave him a process to figure it out for himself. The advice was so simple but so profound. Don't copy me. Don't copy John Wooden. Find out what truly matters to you. And here's what came out of it for Steve Kerr. He landed on 4 core values: joy, mindfulness, competitiveness, and compassion. And he didn't just write them down and forget about them. Nope. He went on to build a multi-championship dynasty on those 4 principles. He coached from his authentic core, and his players totally responded to that genuineness. And this quote from Pete Carroll just nails it. It's all about authenticity. Players today have this finely tuned radar for fakes. If you're not coaching from your core values, if you're not being you, they'll see right through it. Real trust, real connection, that can only be built on a foundation of who you really are. Okay, so once we've got our compass set, we can start architecting the environment. And this requires a big mindset shift, from being a drill sergeant who just transmits information to being a creator of experiences out on the pitch. It's a total game changer in how we see our role in training. This chart really shows the shift we're aiming for at NTS. We need to move away from being a transmitter of information, just setting up cones and telling players exactly what to do. We need to become architects of the learning environment. So instead of isolated drills, we present game-like problems. Instead of us being the answer key for everything, we facilitate our players' discovery of the solutions themselves. We start to measure decision-making more than just pure repetition. I love this quote from Chris van der Hagen of the Belgian FA because it just nails it. It perfectly captures the whole idea of constraints-led, games-based training, right? The game is chaotic, it's messy, it's full of opponents. Our training has to reflect that reality. We've got to simulate the game to prepare players for the game. So our role really becomes that of a designer and a facilitator. We're intentionally creating activities that build resilience, that make our players comfortable with the productive frustration that comes with learning. We're designing challenges that live right at the edge of their abilities. And here's a key standard for us at NTS. In every single activity, we are always looking for ways to increase the competitive moments and the number of decisions each player has to make. And finally, none of this works, and I mean none of this, without the most critical piece of the puzzle: high-trust relationships. The environment we're trying to create goes way beyond the pitch. It's built on deep, genuine connections with our players and with their parents. This is really the heart of what we call our rule of one at NTS. It's this simple but incredibly profound idea that we have the power to change a life with a single comment. And our standard is to be intentional about it. We're aiming for at least one positive, personal, non-soccer regretted interaction with every single player, every single practice. It could be a high five, asking about a test, a quiet word of encouragement. These small deposits build massive trust over time. To really build that trust, we have to see our players as more than just athletes. We've got to understand their world. And a lot of times, that just starts by asking the right questions. A question like this, well, it opens the door to seeing the whole person. And the results from asking this question are just staggering. Coaches who asked it learned about these monumental life events their players were navigating completely in silence. This kind of information, it doesn't just help you coach better, it lets you be the supportive adult that kid might desperately need. It's about coaching the human being first and the athlete second. Now, this connection has to extend to the parents too. And to build a real partnership built on trust, we need clear professional standards. So at NTS, this is our standard. We acknowledge every single parent email within 24 hours. And look, even if you don't have the answer yet, you reply, you acknowledge their message, and you give them a timeline for when you'll get back to them. Proactive, clear communication like this prevents 99% of parent issues from ever starting. Ultimately, if you only take one single thing away from this whole explainer, let it be this. From the values you coach by, to the design of every single practice, to that one small comment you make to a player, it all matters, every single moment. So, as you head out to your next practice or your next team meeting, I'm just going to leave you with this question to think about. Every interaction is an opportunity. It's a chance to build trust, to spark discovery, to empower, and to make a positive, lasting impact. So, what moment will you create?